Hello, how are you? I hope you're all doing well in health and gesund and in all areas of your lives. We'll begin as before with a prayer for all those that are not feeling well and are really struggling in these circumstances. Yancho adinoi b'yem tzaro yisagev choshem elehei Yaakov. Today, my friends, is a monumental day. It's epic. It's 100 years since the passing of the Rebbe Rashab, Beis Nissan. So, my plan, Be'ez Hashem Yisborach, is to make one video right now and another one before Shabbos to celebrate this awesome, tremendous, magnificent day. So before we get to the details and aspects of the Rebbe Rashab's greatness, I think we should spend some time first talking about the concept of heroes. It has been said in the Jewish books that one of the problems of this world, why it's a false world, is that those that should get respect aren't respected, and those that are getting respect don't really deserve the respect. How is this related to our current crisis? When you think about it, what's going on? How many times have we heard again and again that all these precautions and the total shutdown and the strict regulations is because we are trying to make sure that none of the older people will suffer fatal results and effects, or those that are weaker or have certain medical conditions where their immune system has been diminished. So basically, in a way, the entire world has raised their level of character traits to a refinement where we're worried about others. It's about sympathy, it's about empathy. The whole world is shutting down and being so and conducting themselves in such a way which is so hard, all for the sake of saving the lives of those that are at risk. That's in a sense what's going on over here. And in particular, the elderly. It's interesting, I once heard that why is it that the sons have to pray for a deceased parent for an entire year, 3 times a day? They have to pray for a minyan to say Kaddish, and it's very hard. It's a tremendous responsibility, a yoke that they have to carry on their neck, so to speak. An entire year where their whole life revolves around making sure, Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv, they have a minyan. They can't make a move. They always have this in their mind. Who has to do this? The sons, not the daughters. Somebody once said the reason is because daughters get along better with their parents. And that's how they conducted themselves all their lives while the parents were alive, so therefore they don't have to make it up. It's the sons who are more difficult, and therefore they might have not respected the parents so much while the parents were alive, so they have to make up for it, and that's why the year afterwards, they're the ones that have the burden of saying the Kaddish. This is what I once heard. So in a certain sense, it's like all of us now, the whole world, has to be forced to have respect for the elders. Now this is the concept in Judaism where we treasure wisdom, knowledge, and experience that comes with old age, respecting elders. And there's an anecdote I once heard, a very interesting anecdote, about a Gadol, one of the Gedolim of the previous generation, a great Torah scholar and leader who was on a plane with his grandson, and then a member of the Israeli Knesset who was on a plane with his grandson. And the Israeli Knesset member, who's a modern secular Jew, he's looking the way this Torah sage is being respected by his grandson. His grandson is looking after his grandfather with every fiber of his being. He's watching him like a hawk. He's asking him, do you need anything? Could I help you? With respect. And he's totally into his grandfather. This Knesset member who's on the same flight is looking at his grandson, who's wearing headphones going, and he's got pink hair, and he's totally ignoring him, the grandfather, and he's just dying from jealousy. Why is it that grandfather gets such respect from his grandson, and my grandson, doesn't have any time for me and is totally involved in different things? So as the flight is going on, it's continuing. Towards the end of the flight, he sees a chance where the grandson of that Torah sage got up. So he runs over to the Torah sage and asks him, tell me something. I don't understand. How come your grandson has such respect for you, and my grandson ignores me? He doesn't even act like I exist. What's the story? How could you explain it? He says, it's very simple. What don't you understand? You see, my grandson looks at me and we believe that Torah tziva lonu Moshe me'rosha kilis Yaakov. The Torah was commanded to us through Moshe Rabbeinu, u'mesar li Yeshuv, Yeshuv is Kenim, l'anshei Knesset Agdela, etc., etc. So therefore, my grandson looks at me and he asks himself, who's closer to Sinai? Who's closer to Moshe? Me or him? Me. So therefore he respects me. Your grandson looks at you and he thinks to himself, where do we come from? The apes. We evolved from the apes. He looks at you and he looks at himself and he asks himself the question, who's closer to the apes? You or him? You are. So therefore, why should he respect you? He's evolved. There's progress. And there you have the Jewish story. We look at the people that came from the previous generations as our role models in a real way. Schus Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yankov. To us, they're real. When we sit at the Shabbos table and we talk about stories of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yankov, it's not legends, it's not fables, it's not stories that happened a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. No! It's reality. It's like we're talking about our grandfather. It's real, and we take real lessons, relevant lessons, forever. Those are the cliffs, the rocks, the foundations that we constantly are nurturing from, and the reservoirs of strength that are the wells from which we draw our strength all the time. And we look at them as superheroes. And this is why Chabad, we celebrate all the days associated to all of our 7 Rabbeim. They are the 7 superheroes that are constantly influencing us in a real way. Hasidim of this generation had a tremendous teacher in this regard, the Rebbe. The Rebbe is the greatest chassid and the greatest Rebbe. No other human being was ever so obsessed with all the previous leaders that came before him like the Rebbe. A new sefer would come out from the Tzemach Tzedek, the 3rd Rebbe. He would make a farbrengen just in honor of the new sefer that came out. Every single one of the Rabbeim was lauded, was celebrated in new ways that were never before. So today, which is Beis Nissan, the Yom Hastalkus Yartzeit of the Rebbe Rashab, we all focus on the Rebbe Rashab, and the Schus and the Baal Yartzeit-Hillula, Peils an Yeshua's Bekerev Haaretz, as die alle was davon geholfen werden, and was für ihnen sollen sein, in Bonnechaim is whoever needs to be helped in any way should be helped in his merit. And may we all take this lesson from this crisis, to have more respect for elders, more respect for those that have experienced truths that are beyond us, and they will help us grow and become better people. broadcasting from my resort, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, your man in Melbourne.